emphasis on the right syllable.
You're good.
What can you tell us about the Browns quarterback competition?
Looks like Todd Monken, the new head coach, is splitting up the offseason reps between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. Yes, Deshaun Watson is still there. He's entering the 5th and final year of the 5-year, fully guaranteed $230 million contract they gave him as a condition of the trade that brought him there from Houston. He has played a grand total of 19 games over the first 4 years, but he's healthy and apparently a candidate to win the starting quarterback job in Cleveland.
I love this topic because we think that maybe even
IT looks skeptical.
Do you think he can be
Silly
successful?
me. I'm just looking at the facts. Okay, first of all, Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback in 2020 at 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That was 6 years ago. Dan mentioned he's played 19 games. He didn't tear his Achilles tendon once, which is a catastrophic injury for quarterbacks. He did it twice. He played 7 games 2 years ago. If the 4 of us were running the Cleveland Browns and we had to feed our family based on the reasonable likelihood of good quarterback play, that is not the fact pattern we would be basing it on.
No, but if we were trying to feed our family, we probably also wouldn't have signed that contract and made a trade that we did.
Why not go with Shedeur Sanders, where he showed some flashes as a rookie? He has high upside. If I was running the Browns, why not go
because
with
you paid him the money.
Right, but that's a sunk cost, and that's ancient history.
Yeah.
So then, if that's the case, why didn't you cut him or waive him and let him go sign somewhere and try and be a backup and do that? Like, listen, Deshaun Watson, for all that we talk about Deshaun Watson, what he hadn't been, what he was pretty special. Yep. 3-time Pro Bowler. He at one point, people were making the argument, would he be better on Kansas City than Patrick Mahomes? Now, I know that's laughable now, but the kid is only 30 years old. You can't tell me that somebody's career in football life is over at 30 when we talk about quarterbacks playing to 40. Yes, he's had 2 ACLs, but so did Thomas Davis, and he was a linebacker. I don't need him to be running around. I need him to be able to throw the ball from the pocket, and we know he has tremendous arm talent. We know traditionally he was a winner. I think maybe just under Stefanski, that was the wrong system for him, and the injuries played a big role. We understood the circumstances in which he got there in.
It was the wrong system for a guy that's always hurt to be successful in. That's true. Like, he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been on the field. He led the league in passing yards 6 years ago and has barely played since. If the Browns he's on the team because he has to be, because the money's guaranteed.
Yes.
I mean, to answer your question, why not cut him? Got to pay him $46 million no matter what. And right now, they've restructured that contract so much that if they cut him, the dead money cap hit would be well over $100 million. So they're stuck with him. Maybe they're hoping he plays well in the preseason. Somebody trades something for him. I don't know. But I think it's like, if we can get something out of this guy before the end of this, franchise-crushing contract that we handed out, great.
Do you know the history of we all know aware of the history of the Cleveland Browns, right?
Sure.
Nothing good ever happens to them. What can be the worst thing than Deshaun Watson taking $230 million and then ball out on his way out the door, and you know you can't re-sign him because of what he's done the years before? That is perfect Cleveland.
Okay. Let's talk about this. There's a lot to unpack here. I know I wanted to make a Dallas Cowboys video for my boy Grover, down in the comments, who's super duper Dak Prescott, fan number 1. And he's out there in that Texas heat right now working hard. So, I was excited to be like, okay, great. I want to make a Cowboys video right now. And, you never know what the conversation's going to be about. Is it still going to be about Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones? Now it's about Sienemer and his house and the schedule. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this because it feels at least actually about football right now and not about any of the other nonsense. But before I jump into it, please Dallas Cowboys fans, do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof. Subscribers go through the roof. It's not about chasing views. It's not about chase subscribers. It's about being able to create Dallas Cowboys content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss, so we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded, genuine discussions about the Dallas Cowboys. It really does make a huge difference. So, please do consider doing that. But yeah, okay, where do I want to begin? First, let's begin. For me, the low-hanging fruit, Sean Heimer. I was actually impressed with him. I don't understand like the Cowboys struggling. G against playoff teams or teams with a winning record. Like that has been a constant in Dallas for years. That has been a thing that people have pointed out with Dak over. Whether you want to blame Dak or not, it's irrelevant in this moment of time because that has been a common theme of some of the discussions around this Cowboys team. And honestly, I was pretty spot on with the Cowboys. I did not think the defense was going to be as bad. Although things changed when Micah got traded, but I said I believe that this team is going to be very much of what we've seen in the past where they're going to blow out some bad teams. They're going to look, out of step with some of the great teams and they'll be competitive in some of the other close games against some of the other good teams. And that's exactly what they were. That's literally exactly what they were. And it wasn't a crazy prediction because it's just who they have been. But I don't put that all on the shoulders of Schottenheimer right now. I think considering what was going on with the Cowboys and what was kind of happening with the culture and dealing with Jerry Jones and this, that and the third and having to deal with Micah and this contract and that contract and having to deal with then bringing in Pickens and whatnot. Like I actually was impressed and I was harsh on Schottenheimer. Like I did a whole 180. I'm not going to tell you that. Schottenheimer's the next Sean McVay here, but like I was actually really impressed. He did a better job than Kevin Patchelo in the Philadelphia Eagles. So like I was genuinely impressed. Their defense was obviously awful and Jerry Jones deserves all the blame for that. And I'm not going to go on the whole rant about Jerry Jones messing that up because you did waste a year. Like you, I look at this as a limited timeline and I look at that as like you wasted a year. You wasted an unbelievably great year from Dak Prescott and company offensively. You wasted that. You wasted that because of how you handled all of the, pretty much Micah Parsons in general. That you didn't do it before the draft, etc., etc. I'm not going to go on that rant. I've already done that many times. And so that is a waste. I don't say I don't put that on the shoulders of Schottenheimer. Now listen, I have no idea where Schottenheimer lives. No idea. No idea. No idea. I don't know if he was an hour away from the stadium or a half hour. Like some of those and I don't care enough to really look into it. You guys can let me know in the comment section. I'd appreciate it. Sometimes that stuff is actually real. Sometimes it is like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to move a little bit closer because it's a lot easier for me to do my job. It could also be not only Pico because so we can get there. It could also be like work-life balance like I assume he's got like a wife and kids again I don't REA. LLY no but like sometimes it's just that right like and so it's just like yeah okay if you can do that if you have the means you have the money you have the power and the ability to do that right for someone like me for someone like you probably just like buying a house and moving into a house is like a lot more of a whole operation but like when you got the means and you got the power you're the coach of an NFL team of the Dallas Cowboys like it's just I don't know man like. It's just not as hard as it is for your average Joe out there. And so I don't think we have to look any deeper than that. So yeah, I don't think there's any deeper than that. Also, I do think Schottenheimer, as much as I just, defended him and praised him. Like, I do think that he can also flirt with being a little corny and cheesy and a little bit over the top in that regard. And that was why what some of the things I didn't love going into last season when he was just like, yeah, we're going to change the locker room, the locker, lineup or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And like the way he like presented it was like, I'm like, we're doing something special. We're doing something legit. And I was like, all right, man. Like, calm down. Calm down. So, like that could be technically what he's engaging with, but in terms of moving closer, right? Where he's just like, this is what I do. Like I'm all about this. That's why I got my house right next to the stadium. Like it could be that too. I don't know. But it's just not as important. I don't think he's doing that because he can see the writing on the wall. Like Jerry Jones sticks with coaches forever. Like that is what Jerry Jones does. And you know, honestly, on one side, I respect it after Jerry. On the other side, it can hold you back for sure. But so that to me is just like get that out of the way. Now, for the schedule itself, I mean, we really jumped to 1 and 3, like in a snap of the fingers. And also, okay, yes, I do think playing Baltimore internationally is a difficult game. It's early in the season. The Ravens, like that's just you're going up against Lamar. Like, that is absolutely undeniably a really tough matchup. No doubt about it. No question about first off, saying that this is like the hardest like first 6-7 games for anyone is insane. It's just objectively not true. That's just 100% incorrect. Just not true. Just not true. Just not true. Just not true. Okay. You're saying, oh, it's a big game for week 1 for the Giants. Hard ball. And it's like, yeah, and they have a lot of new faces and a young quarterback and new coaching staff. The Cowboys have the continuity. The Cowboys have the continuity. Like, yes, it would be a bad loss for Dallas. It would be a huge win for New York. And although I'm not going to automatically just give a win to Dallas either, but the fact that we lean towards New York instead of Dallas makes no sense to me. No sense to me. And again, to be clear, and I'll talk about this later in the video, that like I think this division is going to be way more competitive than it's been in years past, but the pressure is on New York and Washington to prove that they can join that party. Right? It's up to them to prove that they can join that party. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys are already part of it, but it's up to the Giants and the Commanders to show that they join the party. So, when I look at a schedule like this, like I always say, what I always do is I take the easy wins. I take the easy losses. Doesn't mean that the easy wins are easy wins. It doesn't mean that the easy losses are the easy losses. You just do it just to give you some sort of floor, right? For example, oh, the Los Angeles Rams, they're a great team. Okay, you're going to lose to the Rams. It's not to say that you can't handle the Rams. Not to say that you can't beat them. It's just to give you a baseline. That's all it is. It's just meant to be a baseline. Can't emphasize that enough. People still are a little confused by the concept sometimes. When I get to a team like the Giants, that would be, you know, because especially with division. If I remove the division aspect, because usually for the division, then I just split it. I'm just like, you'll probably SPL it in the division. That's 3 wins, 3 losses. Boom. There you go. Whatever. Again, just as a floor, just as a baseline. But if I remove the divisional aspect, right, I'm not factoring in that you're playing them twice or anything like that. And I just look at week 1, Jackson Dart, Harbaugh, Matt Nagy, etc., I would be like, okay, it's an interesting game. Week 1 is always a little uncomfortable because you're like, where are these teams going to be at? What's the story here? You know, new coaching staff, continuity, this, that, and the third. Like, for me, especially if you're talking about 2 competitive teams, week 1 is like really hard for me to do the style that I do it at. But I'm like, if I had to pick, if you were like, dude, you got to pick. Like, come on. Try to get that baseline of wins, losses. What do you think? It's like, well, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. And to be clear, like I believe that the Giants are going to be stable with Harbaugh. And I believe Jackson Dart is wildly exciting and is a pretty big wild card. Like he is like if you didn't really watch a lot of Jackson Dart, like he's got a lot of juice to him. I do question though, like because I do think he's really raw and I'm like I don't know. Can Harbaugh Matt Nagy like figure that out? Week 1, Season 2, like I don't know about that. I really don't. And I don't know if Matt Nagy is the type of guy to be able to wrangle a guy like Jackson Dart. And I don't know if Harbaugh is that guy anymore. Like I believe that a Harbaugh fixes the floor of the New York Jets. I'm not convinced about the ceiling. And I've said this before, a Harbaugh to me sets the floor. Jackson Dart sets the ceiling. So, yeah, if Jackson Dart week 1 can hit the ground running and get after it, then sure. And that would be more of an indicator about who the Giants are moving forward and less about the Dallas Cowboys. And then again, you have the Commanders, Dan Quinn for his playing, coaching for his life, which I do agree with. But, again, kind of a similar situation, honestly. I can almost just copy and paste with my whole take about the Giants with the Commanders. The only difference is that I have the absolute utmost faith in Jayden Daniels. Like I do believe Jayden Daniels is special, etc., but like I don't know, they have an offensive coordinator who's never coached a day in his life essentially. Wasn't even in the NFL as a whole for very long. Dan Quinn, it's like I'm still waiting to see his worth. I go up against it with Commanders fans a lot. I'm like he's on the hot seat. They're like he's not on the hot seat. He got us to an NFC championship game. And I'm like, nobody buddy. That was Jayden Daniels. Dan Quinn so far is yet to truly show his defensive worth right now and his ability to even just be a walk-around coach at this point. Mismanaging Jayden Daniels, injuries, etc. So, it's just like I'm waiting to see that happen. I know he's a great defensive coordinator. Like, how is he as a head coach right now? It's like, I don't know. And then again, that takes us into the Ravens and it's like, yeah, that absolutely will be a tough game. Then you got to go all the way to Houston, which is right around home. Like you're essentially going back because like then back to home against the Bucs. It's like well, like I don't know the exact distance between Houston and Dallas, but it's not Houston and Philadelphia, right? Like it's not coast to coast here. So, it's like it's not the biggest of deals here. And yeah, the Texans' defense is always legit. That defense is one of the most exciting, ruthless, dominating defenses you can face without a doubt. And if you're not a big fan of defense, go watch Houston Texans and they will make you a fan of defense. So yeah, it'll be great to watch. Be great. But like that offense, everyone is still waiting for that offense to be legit. Everyone is still waiting for that offense to be competent. Everyone is still waiting to see if they can return CJ back to his rookie year. If he can, absolutely. That game will be brutal. That game will be tough. That game will be dangerous. No doubt about it. If the Texans are still kind of going through the same issues that they've gone through really the last 2 years, well then, yeah, I'm excited to see what Dak Prescott and Schottenheimer and company have in store for an elite top defense. And by week 4, they should be, within rhythm of the season. And hopefully they should all be healthy. So it'll be a great okay listen you're going up against a great defense. What do you got? What answers do you have Seymour? Who are you Dak Prescott right now in year I don't know whatever year 10-9 whatever it is. It's like who are you? Pickens etc. Like it's going to be a great watch. And now we're going to start to have concerns about the Bucs. Like okay sure. Whatever that's a you do that yourself. Also Thursday night football short rest. That benefits the home team that almost always and that's something that I've always downplayed. I've always downplayed some of those things where it's like oh short rest home team oh short rest got to be on the road this that I've always downplayed that and I'm always like whatever who cares and that still is my core argument but I think over these most recent years over these last couple of years I've learned to kind of just incorporate that a little bit more to kind of consider that a little bit more than I have in the past. I still think it's a little bit different when you're talking about like a young team versus an older team. First year, second year quarterback versus seasoned veteran. So, I think it can still be minimized, a little bit more, but sure, we could say that the Texans could be a really brutal defense team. Can beat you up and then short rest, you have the Bucks. I get that. I'm not going to completely erase that from the conversation, but again, you're either better than Baker Mayfield and the Bucks or you're not. It's really that simple. You're either better than the Bucks or not. You're at home short rest. They're on short rest, too. Like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And then Kareem Bay. Okay. At Philly. Yeah. Like for sure. I'm not saying that this is like a walk in the park schedule, but it's not doom and gloom. The Packers and the Cowboys will be competitive. The Eagles and the Cowboys will most likely be competitive in both directions. The Eagles and the Cowboys always show up for each other and always deliver some pretty interesting games. But it's Thursday night football, then you have extra rest with Sunday night football, then you have extra nights rest with Monday night football, right? Like it actually kind of also then balances it out a little bit. So, we'll see. And then you got the Cardinals and the Colts and the 49ers by week 10, they'll all be injured. It won't even be Jones. It'll be their third string quarterback at that point. So we'll see. But I don't know. This was like interesting conversation about the Dallas Cowboys. I think ultimately the vast majority of schedules that I look at, they all seem quite competitive because you're going to have to play teams like the Eagles and the Texans and the Ravens and the Seahawks and the like. There's just a lot of really solid teams over these last few years. Like the schedules could be littered with teams where you're going up against the Colts and is AR just got benched right now and now it's like Flacco random only. Flaco's in the game. Oh no, Flacco now is injured and now AR is back in the lineup. Oh, the Cardinals. It's like Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett or neither of the two. It's like, I can't think of the other guy's name. Okay, right. Liam Cohen list, Jacksonville Jaguars, Geno Smith, Seattle Seahawks, Will Levis, Titans. The schedules used to be absolutely littered with that. Daniel Jones and Brian Dable Giants or Jimmy Cutlet's Giants, right? Sam Howe Commanders or a Carson Wentz Commander. It's absolutely. That's not what the NFL is right now for any team. For any team right now. So, that's just the way it is. So you either accept that and acknowledge that and also acknowledge that it's like that for the vast majority of teams out there, or you decide to hyper-focus on your own schedule and act like T's so difficult. It's so this. It's so that everyone else has it easier. Oh my gosh, we can start 1-5 now. It's just like technically so can a lot of teams. So that's why so much of this, like I said earlier, to me is going to be really interesting. Who are the Giants? Who are the Commanders? I'm pretty confident I have an understanding of who the Cowboys and the Eagles will be. The Eagles are another question mark because technically with what they're looking to do offensively, Sean Mannion, etc., etc. I think that either pops or it could be, the Eagles always have the ability to just not quite get off to the ground. But if they do, then they're obviously legit. Obviously, and an actual Super Bowl contender as we've seen over these last few years, but you never know there. Though the divisional games will probably matter a lot more than they have in years past. And splitting probably will have more consequences in years past. And so I do think that's why taking care of the Commanders and the Giants week 1 and week 2 really does matter. And losing to them, even just splitting with them. Yeah, it can put you on your back foot early on, but you know, I don't think it's this automatic doom and gloom and writing on the walls and, you know, we're going to now hire the Notre Dame coach right now. Like, I don't know, man. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Do you think they're not going to be able to make the playoffs? Do you think they're going to start 1-3? Looking at 1-4, looking at 1-5, looking at 1-6, looking at 1-7. I guess you'll beat the Cardinals. So, you'll be 2-7, I think, right? Like, so that's pretty good. Or 2-6, whatever it is. You know, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.